Joined by head coach Nate Hauser of the men's soccer team for Baker. Last season ended up 10th in the rankings as your 5th straight year in the national tournament. Before we get into this year, how special was last year's team?
They were pretty exciting. I think we finally found something I think we've been missing a little bit, and that was some camaraderie. That team liked and loved each other more than we have in a long time, and I think that's why we were able to be as successful as we were. You know, we might not have finished the way we wanted to, but I think that journey was one of the most fulfilling we've had in a while.
And how much of what happened last year can you carry over to this year, if any at all?
I think we can a lot. We have a lot of the same players. We're fortunate not to lose a lot of guys who were starters. I mean, obviously we lose an All-American, and we lose somebody like Andres Cooper, who's an academic All-American. But I think the guys that remain, like a Gani Bental, Joa Hickel, Steve Puna, and Alberto from the back, I think we're very, very solid. Austin Halsey, people who are a big part of our team and our personality, having them return, I think it helps us take a couple steps forward.
And that All-American you lost, as you mentioned, Blake Levine, who was your assist leader, has put up ridiculous numbers there. He tied for the team lead in goals as well. Does that change anything stylistically, losing a player like that, or is it just kind of fill in and replace?
I'm hoping that it's fill in and replace, but I think it gives other guys more opportunities. I think Blake was on the ball a lot. I mean, we're doing some searching to find somebody else to take that role of service. I think goal scoring wise, I think it, as they say, a tree has to fall down for one to grow up in its place, and so a tree's gone. So let's see how quickly somebody starts to grow and take responsibility for that.
And so some of the players you bring back, it's a monster senior class. I think you guys like Joseph Houlihan, who had 10 goals last year. Austin Halsey had 8 goals. Steve Puna has been nationally recognized for his play at his time with Baker. How much easier has the transition from last year to this year been with some of those seniors on the roster?
Well, I can tell you emotionally it's been easier as a coach, because going into last year it was really a question of who is going to step up. In the past we've been a team by committee, and that we had a whole new committee last year outside of Blake really grow and bloom and become pretty special. To have them back again and really see them take some ownership, I'm hoping that, again, it's the next couple steps down the road.
And 18 goals combined between Halsey and Houlihan. What makes them such good goal scorers for the team?
I think Joe is an opportunist. I mean, and he'll do some special, crazy things. I think his personality gets him goals, and I think Austin's hard work and knowledge of the game gets him his goals. I think the way they play off each other is very, very good. I think every team needs an opportunist in the box, a snake in there, and they also need somebody that's going to put the hard work in around to get him the ball, but then also take some of their own chances.
And what about Steve Puna, more of a midfielder, but what does he do that makes him so special on the pitch?
I think Steve is one of the most complete players in the country. What he brings soccer IQ-wise, what he brings technically, what he brings physically to the team. I think he's a hard matchup for everyone. And that Steve's got 110 minutes in the tank, can go box to box. I'll tell you this. Steve has been a quality player, there's no question. You're a second-team All-American 2 years in a row. Steve can be even better. And really it is getting him to unlock those last few special pieces of himself where I think he could really explode.
And how about that back line? Obviously last year it was such a negative when Gani Bental went down, and guys stepped up, but it was just such a bummer for the team when you have a player playing at that high of a level to go down with an injury. But now you bring him back, now you got him paired with Joa Hickel, and just in terms of the center backs, it seems like you couldn't ask for a more physical pair.
Absolutely. I mean, we're pretty purposeful about what we're after. That we have 2 6'5" guys that are athletes. They're not goofy by any means. They're athletes, and I pair them with our goalkeeper, who's a good 6'4". I've got 3 first-team all-conference quality players, at the heart of our defense, and I'm very excited about that. It is, as you mentioned, if we can stay healthy, it's going to be difficult. We're going to present a problem for teams, and I don't mind doing that.
Well, and how important is it just on that back line specifically to kind of develop that relationship, especially between the center backs?
It's something I really don't think you can put a price on. That they start to understand, visual cues rather than have to talk through everything, and the movements become natural. Really, when it works, it's a special thing.
You mentioned your goalkeeper, Alberto Soroy, just phenomenal as a freshman last year. What are some things that, after having and making such a big splash in year one, that he can work on and he's improving in year two?
Well, I think we're asking him to distribute, be a bigger part of our attack with his feet. I think that there's a way he can go there. I think also communication-wise, that was his first full year living in English, and I think his second year, living in English, he will be a better communicator. I think the other thing is, last year he was a little impatient, and I think that he's calmed down. We see the first couple days, he's taking a breath, and I think he gives off more confidence, and that's a good thing. And he's being pushed. We have Colin Lowry, who is the goalkeeper of the year in high school here in Kansas, pushing him, saying, "Hey, Alberto, if you take a misstep, I'm going to take your place." And I think that also is good for Alberto, that he has to stand his strengths.
So speaking about all these players who are coming back, what about some newcomers to the team? Whether it's somebody who didn't necessarily get a ton of playing time last year and could be primed for a breakout season, or incoming players like freshmen like the goalie you just brought up?
Colin Lowry's a big one. I think we have a player that was here, as a redshirt last year named Aaron Elvestri, who I would tell you he may be our best player, and that we can add him to what we're doing. I think he has a chance to make us pretty special. Jordan Lake has been very good. We have Mo Cisse, who looks like he's going to be pretty good. But Jake Moore has an opportunity to step up, who's been here, and he's going to be a senior. You have Corey Mitchell, who's doing that. Aaron Bowers, is really making an effort to break into the team full time. So, between the new and the guys that are growing, again, I'm excited to go more depth and to be more excited to watch.
So the season kicks off on August 21st, taking on Kansas Christian College. What are you looking for out of your team, both in that game and kind of in the non-con as we prepare for conference play?
In that first game, it's a chance for us to really get everybody some minutes and really see who we are, right? We're gonna face a tough opponent who's gonna work very, very hard. We've never played them before, so there's always a little bit of anxiety. We don't know what we're going to get, but we're going to give them our best. And so if we're able to do that, I think we might be able to be successful. I think what we've done with the rest of our schedule is we're playing top 10 teams. I think four of our first 5 games are against teams that were at the final site of the national tournament, which we're really excited about. And then Hastings comes to town. And then we have a Northwest Iowa team that took us to overtime last year. That's going to be a huge one. And then of all things, we start with Missouri Valley, who the national finalists last year, who we tied for the conference championship in the regular season. To start off, a lot is going to be, we're going to know who we are by the end of that Missouri Valley contest.
Is that something you like, especially heading into, with a team like Missouri Valley, and there's so many good teams in just conference play in the heart. Is that something you like to get prepared for that conference action?
Well, that we have had a national finalist 2 of the last 3 years out of our conference. That we've had a team in the Final Four for the last 5 years out of our conference. We have to be at that level if we want to compete for it, right? And the only way that you're really getting in the national tournament this next year is if we win the conference or win the conference tournament. That is our goal. That is the point. If we can do that, we'll worry about the next challenges as it goes. But I really believe we're in the best conference in the country. We're the deepest, and we have to be ready for that challenge. That's the whole reason. We front load the schedule to get more ready, and then sharpen the blades and let's go.
He's head coach of the Baker men's soccer team, 11th season at the helm with the Wildcats. Again, their first game on August 21st as they take on Kansas Christian College. You can catch all the home games as well on BakerWildcats.com and the Wildcats Digital Network. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much.
All right, once again, catch all the info on the Wildcat Digital Network. I'm Derek Johnson. He's Nate Hauser.